earlier today you asked me what kind of patch I would be interested in learning to make. So I was going to say, how about something that's like kind of lends itself really well to maybe a rhythmic or funky situation that has some kind of interesting expression or modulation with some kind of vibrato that you can control. Something like that could be cool. Good for short stabs, probably polysynth, I would say.
Yeah, thinking like something like stacked sawtooths.
Yeah,
kind of basic to create, and they're fun. So you were saying like you want something funky. What was the figure you played?
I think I did something like, let's see. Something like that.
Something like that. So,
but it could also be like, you know, something like something like on that third note, you have kind of like a vibrato or something like that.
Sure. So the first thing I'd probably deal with is like within the amplifier envelope section is like, how long is this gonna take to decay? So I'm gonna bring that way down. So already we're kind of in that kind of more percussive landscape. And then I brought the filter down. I'm gonna bring in just a little bit of key tracking, which is gonna make it so when I play lower notes, the filter is gonna open up as I go up. Without it, you'll hear it doesn't get brighter as I go.
Interesting.
It just stays the same, but that kind of mimics like, you know, like a flute, you know, like an acoustic instrument. The brightness is gonna vary, you know, brightness and darkness is gonna vary depending on where they're playing on the instrument. So as a person who's designing sounds, it's good to, you know, we have that tool in our pocket. The second thing I'm gonna do is bring in another oscillator. So just, that doesn't sound very good, but if we detune it a little bit, it gives it a bunch of life. It's almost like a chorus effect. You know, you'd have two voices slightly out of tune. It's like a real human choir. You know, a real human choir, nobody's going to sing the same note exactly in tune. If they did, it would sound very nasally. But if it's out of tune, just a little bit, it sounds really beautiful. So that's a pretty cool sound. If you want to add some vibrato, the way we would do that is we would use a low frequency oscillator. And I could just go into my modulation and I could send the LFO 1. There's 4 of them on here, but we just need 1. We'll use LFO 1. And then the destination is going to be all oscillator frequencies. And let's listen to what that sounds like. So obviously that doesn't sound very good right now. Not very usable. So what we need to do is we need to map the mod wheel to the depth of that LFO. So what we'll do is instead of having this be on a consistent amount, we'll go to another modulation slot. We're just going to choose the mod wheel. Where is it? Hello, there it is. And the destination is going to be modulation 1 amount. So now the mod wheel should do that. On this particular instrument, there's actually a couple of different ways to do that. That was actually the more long form way. There's an easier way to do that. But that seems to be a pretty aggressively fast vibrato. Sounds good. I'm actually going to bring down the amount. So we're already getting into that kind of like 80s kind of Prince. Also, by the way, on the sequential instruments, the default pitch bend range is normally a 5th. And I actually rather like that because if you're playing like something like in a mode, rather than having this be a whole step, so instead of you get those extensions. So that can be really cool for comping. You know, so a little different than just the kind of normal whole step. So then, of course, to finish a sound, we want some effects. So we'll put on some like reverb or something like that. We can even do delay. I like that very short, fast reverb. So yeah, I mean, from here you could do a lot of different things with it. We could turn it into more of like a brass patch. You know, right now this is like just a very standard type of sawtooth funk patch. Could also bring up that second oscillator by an octave. Another thing is I like to sometimes, instead of doing the modulation with the wheel, is with aftertouch, because then you don't have to bring your hand over here. So let's set that up. We can go over to modulation.
And so aftertouch it's just like pressure, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it allows you to trigger vibrato without actually having to use the mod wheel, which can be very effective. So we'll go over here, we'll go to pressure, and we're gonna have that also affect modulation routing 1. Yeah, so now. Oh, another trick on here is if you, like, I was playing this kind of like, what's that called again? It's, you know, parallel motion. Parallel motion.
Yeah, I call it intervallic, but a lot of people call it parallel.
What do you call it?
Intervallic.
Intervallic, exactly.
Because you're just like always keeping the intervals
exactly keeping the intervals the same. Well, you can press those intervals, and then I just hit unison, and now.
Amazing.
Really fun.
That's sick, man. So okay, so couple follow-up questions. First of all, I just want to shout out that you do have a YouTube channel where you do tutorials of this sort, right?
Yes, and planning on building it more, as well as releasing my own. I already put out one sound design course, but we decided to take that off the shelf for a while because I'm doing some rebranding. And so I'm going to be putting that out, as well as a reharm course. And I'm going to be asking Noah Kelman for advice on how to do all that.
Which I will gladly share. And also, yeah, just shout out to everybody. By the time this episode is out, that some of that stuff may even be close to coming out or out. So definitely be sure to check it out. Where should people go to follow you and check out the patches that you have for sale for the profit?
Yeah, just my website, J3PO.net or JulianPollack.net or .com. It all goes to the same place.
Right,
yeah,
awesome.